And then I have nature and art and poetry. And if that is not enough, what is enough? Vincent van Gogh. Nature, as experienced through art and poetry, is seeing with your ears and hearing with your eyes. Artist and writer Marcia Whitney-Schenck explores these connections in a solo exhibition at the Skokie Public Library in Skokie, Illinois. The images were inspired not by a single landscape, but from Marcia's imagination and time spent hiking in Chicagoland's forest preserves. She then matched the images with poems. Thus, we ask ourselves, how do the images offer new interpretations of the poems? And how does the written word reflect on the images? And finally, does this crossroad disciplinary approach encourage us to reflect deeper about nature and its protean forms? Almost Without Surface is matched with an enigmatic poem by Kay Ryan. Marcia was drawn to Kay's poem for its ambiguous description of nature, the tension below the surface. The poet writes, "Crazy as clouds compounding each other, refusing to rain." In Marcia's painting, the abstract forms almost touch. Are they pulling away or colliding? This is an image that depicts the reality of almost. Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass was Marcia's favorite poetry collection as a student at Mary Cliff High School in Spokane, Washington. Although she was familiar with Whitman's work, she struggled to find a verse that would express the spirit of this collage piece. From the hundreds of lines, she chose this one. Do anything, but let it produce joy. Even simple blades of grass can offer possibilities of sheer delight. Grass by Carl Sandburg always haunted Marcia. This short poem makes reference to battlefields such as Gettysburg and Ypres, and ends with the stirring lines, "I am the grass, let me work." This image appears to depict anything but grass, but for one peephole onto a grassy field. The violent colors surrounding this chink in the wall remind us of the death and suffering of battlefields. The grass has much work to do. In Flanders Fields, the well-known poem by John McCrae describes the aftermath of a bloody war, similar to Carl Sandburg's poem, but instead of grass, poppies grow on the site of a battlefield. The color of poppies are so distinctive and remarkable that Marcia played with a series of abstract images, suggesting fields and fields of poppies, interrupted by sawtooth green patterns. On a lighter note, Primroses and Prayers, Primrose Day, by Nancy Cardozo Cowles, begins her poem, "This is a primrose morning. The wind has put up her hair." This convoluted image took a delightful turn of its own, as the watercolor paint flowed into fantastical forms on a slick synthetic paper called Yupo, suggesting nature's organic forms. Finally, there is a pairing of a simple image and a haiku poem by 17th century poet Basho. "This road, no one goes down it, autumn evening." In some ways, Marcia thinks haiku poems best express the artistic process of interpreting nature. It's not necessary to paint every leaf on a tree to convey the soul of a tree. Sometimes a few words can say it all. These are just 6 images of over 30 paintings paired with poems that will appear in Marcia Whitney-Schenck's solo exhibit, Nature Images, at the Skokie Public Library, August 2nd to September 28, 2023. To paraphrase Vincent van Gogh, if one has nature, poetry, and art, one has more than enough to delight the soul.